This lesson is going to be on factoring trinomials. Remember, trinomials are polynomials with three terms. Our standard form for a quadratic function is ax squared plus bx plus c. We are going to be learning to factor trinomials when this leading term right here, this a, is 1 and when a is not 1. It is a lot easier when we're just looking at x squared plus bx plus c. So we'll start with that and ease our way in to when a is not 1. So, in order to factor x squared plus bx plus c, there's two things you must do. You must find the factors of c that add up to b. So looking at this, we have our general formula, x squared plus bx plus c. What we are looking for is factors of c that add to b. When we find these two factors, what's going to happen is that our factored form is going to be two binomials, one being x plus factor number 1, and that's going to be multiplied by x plus factor number 2. So when we find these two factors that multiply to c but add to b, they're going to be placed as these second terms in each binomial. It's also important to remember that b is the coefficient of x. That's the number in front of x. And c is a constant. Just a number, no variable. So a is 1. There's nothing in front of the x squared. B is going to be our coefficient of x, and c is a constant. It's just a number. So looking at an example, we see that we have a is going to be our term in front of the x squared. It's 1. B is going to be 10. C is going to be 21. So we're looking for two numbers that multiply to 21 but add to 10. So what I like to do is make a little T-chart on the side. And I'm going to list all of the factors of 21, starting with the smallest number, 1. So 1 times 21 equals 21. Now remember, 21 is a positive number here. So a positive times a positive gives you a positive. But does anything else give you a positive? Hopefully you're saying a negative times a negative. So I'm going to list my positives, both positives and both negatives that work. Then we're going to go, well, we did 1, so does 2 go into 21? No. Does 3? Yes. 3 times 7. And negative 3 times negative 7. Does 4 go into 21? No. Does 5 go into 21? No. Does 6 go into 21? No. Does 7? Yes. But we've already done that. So once you hit a loop and you get your factor that's already on the other side, you know you're done. Here are my factors. Now remember, what we were looking for is what multiplies to 21 but adds to 10. Well, 1 plus 21 is 22, so that doesn't work. Negative 1 plus negative 21 is negative 22. That doesn't work either. Well, 3 plus 7 is 10, and negative 3 plus negative 7 is negative 10. We want b, which is positive 10. So we want these two factors right here. We want the factors of 3 and 7. Positive 3, positive 7. Because 3 times 7 multiplies to 21, but adds to 10. Now, as you remember, we said on the last slide that it's going to be x plus factor number 1 times x plus factor number 2. So if we write that out, we're going to have x plus 3 times x, times x plus 7. These are our two factors. This is the factored form. We can also double check our answer to see if it's correct by FOILing. First terms, x squared, outer terms, plus 7x, inner terms, plus 3x, last terms, 3 times 7 is 21. Simplifying this answer, we have 7 plus 3 is 10x, plus 21. That matches here, so we know we did it right. But remember, this is our final answer. This is what we want. This is just a check down here at the bottom. So x squared plus 10x plus 21 factored is x plus 3 times x plus 7. Looking at another example, we have x squared plus 4x minus 12. I want what two numbers multiply to negative 12 but add to 4. So starting with 1, now you have to remember we have a negative number now. So what makes negatives? Hopefully you're thinking a positive times a negative. So we have negative 12. Let's start with 1. 1, and so I would have 12, but it's going to be negative. Or I could have negative 1 and positive 12. Let's go to 2 next. We can have 2 and negative 6, or negative 2 and positive 6. Then we can have 3. 3 and negative 4, or negative 3 and positive 4. Then we get to 4, but as we said before, we've already done 4. So these are all of our factors. Now, if we add them together, we have 1 minus 12 is negative 11. This is positive 11. 2 minus 6 is negative 4. 6 minus 2 is positive 4. We have negative 1, and we have positive 1. Hopefully you've already seen and you're going, negative 2, 6, these are our answers. Well, you would be correct. Negative 2 times 6 equals negative 12, but adds to positive 4. So our factors, x minus 2, x plus 6. But I want you to always check your solution just to make sure that you did it correct. So in order to check, we're going to FOIL, or you can do the box method, the distributive property. So first, x squared, outer 6x, inner negative 2x, and last, negative 2 times 6, which is negative 12. Simplified, this is x squared plus 4x minus 12. Is that my original equation? Yes, it is. That means our final answer, the factored form of x squared plus 4x minus 12, is this, x minus 2 times x plus 6. I want you to pause the video now and try these two on your own. Once you've done both of them, come back. All right, let's look at x squared minus 7x plus 6. We're going to start with, we want factors of 6 that add to negative 7. So 1 and 6, negative 1 and negative 6. 2 and 3, negative 2, negative 3. But when I do my adding, we have 7, negative 7, 5, negative 5. So hopefully you saw that negative 1 and negative 6 equal negative 7, which is what we want. So I get x minus 1 times x minus 6. I want to check my solution. I'm going to FOIL. So x times x is x squared. Outer is minus 6x. Inner is minus x. And last is positive 6. So we have x squared minus 7x plus 6. Is that my original equation? Yes, it is. So I know that this is my final answer. If you got that, nice job. Looking at our final example, we have x squared minus 10x minus 24. So I'm looking what multiplies to negative 24. Well, I have 1 and negative 24, or negative 1 and 24. 2 and negative 12, or negative 2 and 12, 3 and negative 8, and negative 3 and 8, 4 and negative 6, or negative 4 and 6. I know 5 doesn't go into it, so I'm done. Now I'm looking what adds to negative 10. Well, this is negative 23. This is positive 23. This is negative 10. This is positive 10. This is negative 5. This is positive 5. We have negative 2 and positive 2. So we want negative 10, which means we want this one. So we get x plus 2 times x minus 12. Let's check our answer. I'm going to do it by FOIL again. So first is x squared, outer is negative 12x, inner is 2x, and last is negative 24. Simplify, this gives us x squared minus 10x minus 24. Is that my original equation? Yes, it is. So my final answer is x plus 2 times x minus 12. If you got that correct, nice job. I think you understand how to factor trinomials where a is 1.